Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. This whole thing starts with an idea that a lot of people might have never stopped to consider, but I think it might have happened a long time ago. What if the world government didn't just take Roger's body after he died in Logtown, but also somehow preserved his DNA? And not only that, what if his body was used as the foundation for a secret creation? Maybe the most hidden project of all time. A pacifista, not just stronger, but with memory, a soul, or even fragments of the true will of the former Pirate King. Picture this. Luffy walks into a room filled with strange blue smoke. Vegapunk is tied up or hiding nearby. And then, out of nowhere, a familiar figure appears. It's not an old man, it's a younger Roger with a glowing scar on his chest, dull but threatening eyes, and that red cape flowing just like we saw back in chapter 968 when he said goodbye to the world. But there's a twist. He's got a seared-in brand on his back, a symbol of the world government. And the one who reveals the name of the project is IMU. Project Lost Poseidon, Goal D. Roger, the inverted pacifista. Is the idea insane? Maybe. But this is one piece we're talking about, and if Vegapunk himself said that tech to recreate lasers, artificial minds, and even replicate devil fruit powers existed more than 20 years ago, who's to say Roger's body wasn't quietly taken the day of his execution? Chapter 5:06 clearly shows how Roger's execution was surrounded by mystery, and not all the details were ever revealed. No one saw where the body went, and with all the secrets locked away in Mary Joas, it's easy to imagine the most important man in history became, well, a resource. I think IMU allowed this experiment for a bigger reason. If they've been alive since the Void Century, something that's starting to seem obvious with their demonic appearance and control over monsters and dreamlike darkness, then maybe they need key pieces from the past to try and control the present, like using a legend to stop the rise of a new king. Think about it. Who was the biggest symbol of freedom in the past? Roger. And now who's taking on that role? Luffy. So maybe the plan is to pit one symbol against the other, like father versus son or past versus present. It gets even crazier when you remember chapter 1050, where Kaido tells Luffy that only those who understand the world can change it. What if the government took that literally? What if they think only someone like Roger can stop the reincarnated Joy Boy, like a cosmic cancellation? Luffy is the new, Roger is the old, and if they exist at the same time, maybe they cancel each other out. But then comes the big moment. Luffy sees Roger in that state, soulless eyes, but an intact body, and he feels something weird. He doesn't recognize him right away, but he feels a presence, a connection, like his hat is heating up on its own. Maybe it's one of those classic One Piece moments where everything goes quiet, just the wind blowing. Then Luffy turns and says, "Who are you?" And the Roger robot, or maybe part human, responds, "I am the one you're meant to surpass," or "You were." But the moment Luffy smiles and says, "Then let's see who's freer," Roger blinks, and for half a second, a single trace of humanity shines through. Maybe it's the old soul inside, trying to break free, just like how Kuma still had memory fragments left, even after becoming a full pacifista. Maybe Roger does too. Maybe Vegapunk tried to preserve his soul, or maybe he even sabotaged the government's project by inserting a hidden code, like he did with Kuma. What if Vegapunk was a fan of Roger and wanted to protect him somehow? In chapter 1092, we see that IMU can control monstrous beings with a power that feels like a shadow or nightmare domain. And in chapter 1150, he's using something called Domi Reversi, turning giant warriors into demons. What if that same power was used on Roger? What if he's one of the possessed, not just a physical experiment? Imagine the impact on Luffy, not just fighting an icon, but realizing that icon is being used like a puppet by someone who wants to erase the world's freedom. And that's where Luffy might face his greatest dilemma in the whole story. He's always seen Roger as just an inspiration, a legendary figure. But now, if he's here, corrupted, maybe wounded on the inside, being used as a weapon, Luffy has to make a choice. Will he fight to free Roger, or will he fight to defeat what's left of him? That might be the very thing that pushes Luffy to awaken even more of his advanced conqueror's haki. Maybe this is when he finally understands that the power to change the world comes not just from strength, but from protecting even the dreams of those who are long gone. And their battle might not be just physical, it could be mental too. Maybe we get a memory invasion scene, like when Robin touched the poneglyph in Skypia. What if by hitting Roger, Luffy accesses a memory from the real one? Maybe we find out Roger didn't want any of this, that he allowed himself to be captured in Logtown not just because he was sick, but because he knew he was being hunted by people who wanted his body, his bloodline, his essence, and the greatest symbol of freedom in history became a prisoner of those trying to erase everything. That's way more powerful than just defeating a villain. That's rewriting the meaning of history. And here's the craziest part. Maybe this Pacifista Roger doesn't even have the Gomu Gomu no Mi. Maybe they gave him a different fruit. What if it's a modified version of Imu's fruit, or a Shadow Logia, or even an ancient Zoan that Imu has controlled for centuries? That would make the fight even more unreal. A Roger with dark powers, mimicking the original's movements, while Luffy is in full freeform mode, smiling, wild, but focused, just like we've seen since chapter 1044. This fight could be not just the most emotional, but the most insane in the series. And somewhere in the middle of it, maybe Roger starts to remember. Maybe Luffy's Conqueror's Haki breaks through the programming, like Naruto's power broke through the Jinchuriki bonds. What if Luffy yells so loud, Roger's soul wakes up for a second, and he looks into Luffy's eyes and says, "So you're my successor," and then fades into light. But of course, all of this is still just part of a bigger puzzle. Chapter 11, 52 ends with Gaban saying that Luffy needed to master his Haki better, and maybe this clash with Roger is exactly that, the final lesson. Not a physical one, but an emotional one, freeing the one who once inspired the world. And at that moment, the Straw Hat shines like never before. Maybe this is when the world finally sees who the true king is. As the glow from Luffy's Straw Hat begins to fade, the room, once filled with blue smoke and tension, falls silent, almost as if time itself paused for a second. The body of the Pacifista Roger, that blend of machine and soul, begins to slowly collapse. Not because it was destroyed, but because its purpose has been fulfilled. The will of the real Roger, buried deep within that body, was finally set free by the strength and heart of the young pirate. Luffy takes a deep breath, still feeling the weight of what just happened. He didn't just defeat an enemy, he restored the hope the world government had been trying to erase for so long. This victory isn't just a physical triumph, it's redemption for all those who fought for freedom in the past, and for those still fighting now. Vegapunk, finally free from his forced silence, walks up to Luffy with a look of deep respect. He explains that science alone can't overpower human will. The strongest flame that exists, what the government tried to turn into a weapon, ended up being proof that the spirit of the true Pirate King could never be controlled or erased. At that moment, Imu, watching everything unfold with cold eyes, realizes that the plan has failed. The symbol they tried to use to erase the legend now shines brighter than ever, thanks to Luffy. The young pirate isn't just carrying on Roger's will, he's become a new symbol of freedom, one that can't be silenced by threats or manipulation. Luffy knows this is only the first of many major victories. The world is still full of mysteries, battles, and challenges, but he also understands that the power to change everything lies within him, not just in the strength of Haki or devil fruits, but in the courage to protect dreams, stories, and people. As he leaves that room, the Straw Hat glows with a soft light, reminding everyone that the true king isn't the one who rules through fear, but the one who inspires freedom and hope in all. And so, a new chapter begins for Luffy and for the world, where past and present walk together toward a future where freedom can finally reign. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.